Rise and shine, beloved, great grand rising, grand afternoon, grand evening, wherever you are tuning in from. Welcome to Spiritual Success TV Live, where we are lighting the way to help you create a clear path forward on your personal and spiritual journey. With that being said, beloved, you know what we do over here. Let's just come center, come present to this sacred moment. Just take one good deep breath in and relax. And exhale. We are here. Today, we want to continue on the topic of shifting timelines. I just been getting this hit in my spirit for the last several weeks that we have to step into our power and create the timeline that you desire to live, the one that you desire to experience. So last week we started talking about moving into peace and plenty. So what I want to really focus in on today as we keep these things in our focus with shifting timelines, we want to move from survival into peace and plenty. But today I want to talk about the number one mistake that you may be making, that is keeping you from your success. I want to go to, I just want to make sure we are live on Facebook. Let me throw up a grand rising, and then I'll be right there. We are here. We're live. Okay. We're live. All righty. So let me put a grand rising up here. There we go. All right. Tag a friend, family member, let them know Spiritual Success TV is live. Okay, yes, come on in. All right, with that being said, we are looking at the number one mistake you may be making that's hindering your progress, hindering the success that you want to make. So I'm looking at the email that we sent out. So let's just do a recap, all right? So this year, the universal number one year, is all about new. It's all about new experiences. I have a clear indication in the realm of the spirit that this is the year you're going to see more than you've ever seen in your life before, for the good. You're going to experience more. You're going to experience greater, because we're going to pray bigger and bolder, not begging, not pleading, but we want to stand in our sovereign authority and begin to lift our vibrational frequency so that we are vibrating at a different level. All right. So last week we talked about moving into peace and plenty. And we said the first thing we start with is you have to have your destination in view. Somebody type in the comments, I know where I'm going. Come on. I know where I'm going. The whole purpose of me coming forward with this information, with this transmission, is so that we move out of a place where you are sabotaging yourself, playing yourself, and being distracted. All right. So we're going to end up talking about distraction in a real way today, because that is the number one culprit that is keeping you from experiencing the progress that you want to experience. All right. So number one, you must have your destination in view. You have to have a clear vision of where it is you want to go. Right. Once you have a clear destination, we often talk about how you start with the end result, right? That's what an intention is. An intention simply means that you're starting with the end result. You're seeing where you're going. You're seeing the destination. Once you see where you're going, then it's easy to get direction. It's easy to get support. It's easy to bring someone else along with you so that you can go. That is why sacred texts remind us to write the vision and make it plain, so that anybody who's in a rush, anybody who's running, they can easily read, they can easily grasp your vision and perhaps even run with you. All right. So number one, having that destination in view. So many times we start out on a destination, and we talked about your pre-flight plan last week, right? We talked about how important the mental and emotional realm is, because the writer, right, of sacred text tell us, once your thoughts, Grand Rising Reezy, once your thoughts and your imagination agree, then you can say to the mountain, be removed. But the number one mistake that we are making, once we have our destination in view, once we start working on the mindset, the number one habit that all of us have developed in one way or another is the habit of distraction. Put that in your notes. So I was talking in my community this week with my mentor, and we was talking about how easily you can become distracted when you don't feel safe in your body, and when you don't feel like you're going to get the outcome that you want. How easily you get distracted. So I want to talk about the subtleties that we encounter in our daily movement, where distraction sets in, and how we become addicted to that distraction. I want that to sit for a minute. Addicted to distraction. You have taught yourself how to be distracted in a very simple, very subtle way. So in doing that this week, I dedicated this week to really watching myself. Remember, awareness is the key. Observing yourself to see where the habit of slipping into distraction wanted to show up. And you're able to see it clear as day the moment you start paying attention to it. So, beloved, this is so true. If we don't do something different this year, when it comes to the habit of distraction, we're going to keep slipping into that familiar place, slipping into that comfortable place. And when we look around again, months are already passed. We're already a month and a half into this year, right? And this is the short month. So in less than 15 days, more like 13, we're going to be in March. And then we'll be at the end of the first quarter. So what we want to do today is we want to get a hold of ourselves, right? Right. Attention with intention. That's it. Attention with intention. And so the more that we can be aware and observe how we're moving, how we're thinking, how we're feeling, that habit of distraction is so subtle because you have trained yourself over the years. I want you to really hear this. Every time you slip into the habit of distraction, you are training your brain to be distracted. You're sending a message to the subconscious mind to interrupt you. So just as Reese said, attention with intention. Intention with attention. Attention with intention. When you set out to take the step, to make the move, to take the leap, and every time you feel uncomfortable, you might not even recognize that you feel uncomfortable. Let's unpack this. Take a breath. Let's unpack this. And exhale. You may not recognize that you are feeling uncomfortable because it's so subtle. You're not paying attention to it. All you know is that you're closing the laptop, putting the tablet away. I'm talking about when you're working, right? You were going to make the phone calls and now you're not going to make them. And you get up and you go do something else that feels comfortable, right? You could be right in the middle of doing something that's going to move your life forward. And then all of a sudden you remember you didn't put the clothes in the washer. So you get up because you want to put the clothes in the washing machine so it can be washing while you're working. But on your way back from the laundry room, you see a few dishes. So you feel, I'm going to stop and wash those dishes. Then the next thing you know, the doorbell may ring. The phone may ring. And that's how easily we slip into distraction. But here's the key, beloved. The moment that interruption came to put the clothes in the laundry, that's the point that something was beginning to feel uncomfortable. Watch this. And the subconscious mind wanted to send you a reminder. You want to be distracted. You don't want to be here because you're afraid this may not work out. You're not comfortable with putting yourself out in the public this way. So let's put this off. Let's put this off, right? And so and this is how we become attracted to distraction. Yes, how easily so many Yes, very easily. So subtly that we don't even realize that we're being distracted. Then what you set out, let's say on Monday, to accomplish, now it's Friday, it's Saturday, and it's not done. By next week, you've forgotten all about it. Beloved, please hear me. We have to do this differently because I am convinced for myself, I'm convinced for you. There is another life we are meant to live at this season in your journey, in this 3D realm. I am convinced there is more for you. There is more for me. And until we do something different in our daily life, we're not going to see the results we desire to see. So this week, just like I did last week, I want us paying attention. So this is what happens, right? We talked about this many times. You got the idea, you start working on it, but then that habit of distraction creeps in and it doesn't get done. I have books that are 99% done, right? And so with me, perfectionism sets in. So I'm right at the finish line, but I'm not pulling the trigger because that spirit of perfectionism is saying, go back over it one more time, right? Go back over it one more time. And when you do that, you're losing time. So what happens is that when we start overthinking, right? Let's say I have a book, it's 99% done. Then you start overthinking. So this is how it works for me. Maybe it worked this way for you. What if there's still some typos in there? What if your grammar is not correct? You know, even though we speak with broken grammar all the time, and I don't mind that at all. But when we write, we want to do it a little better. You know, what if you didn't say that clear enough? So you start overthinking. This happens in very subtle ways. Sometimes you don't even realize you're overthinking. You start overthinking, and then you second guess yourself. When you start second guessing yourself, then paralysis set in. That's why they call it analysis paralysis. Because the more you keep thinking, the more you keep analyzing, the more you keep trying to make sure it's right, yes, you don't move. You become paralyzed, right? Here we go. Excuse me. Let me get this lipstick up off my teeth. All right. So come on and give me a great grand rise and let me know that you're here. Right. Lisa, thanks for joining us live. Right. I done threw my shoe. I love it, Reese. I love it for real. And this is the number one mistake. This is just real talk, y'all. Real talk. Because you and only you have the power and authority to hinder your progress or move yourself forward, right? So like the sacred text, I set before you a choice. And we like to use this in terms of salvation, but this is a daily thing that we are faced with, that we are given. I call heaven and earth to bear record now, the sacred text says. I set before you good and evil. life and death, right? Choose, and then it tells you, choose life that you and your seed may live. So it's about the choice. And becoming distracted is so easy. We've been doing it so long that now it's a pattern. It's an ingrained pattern. It's a habit. All the neurons in your brain says she's going to go this far and no further because the habit of distraction is there. So let me go back to my example, right? Okay, so I got books ready. Some of them are 99% done, ready to go. But then you start overthinking, analysis paralysis. You start overthinking, what if this, what if that, da 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 da. Then you second guess yourself. You take yourself out, maybe that's not it. Maybe this is not the time. I think I need more resources. I don't have enough money. You know, who's going to do this? How am I going to? You just start second guessing. Then the paralysis set in because you become overwhelmed. Anytime you start overthinking, you're going to go into overwhelm. When you go into overwhelm, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to put it aside. And so all this week with observing myself and seeing each time this habit of distraction wanted to creep in. Now, this is something else that I've noticed over the years that and y'all talk back to me if this is you. You are a master at creating. So whatever it is that you create, for me, it is information, it is content, it is lessons, it's encouragement, it's a motivation. I am a master creator. At one time when I was analyzing myself, I saw a vision of the Mad Hatter, just kept creating, couldn't stop creating. That in itself is a trap. Because what happened is that over the years, you get very comfortable creating, but you're not that comfortable with execution. I want you to put that in your notes. So you have all the ideas, you have the materials, you know what to do, but you train your brain to create. And then watch this. I want you to hear this. The way that God created us is truly awesome. It's awe-inspiring. It's fearful. It's wonderful. And that fearful just means awe-inspiring. I catch this many times because this is how subtly this can work. Is that you start creating and you're comfortable in your creativity, but not that comfortable in execution. So what begins to happen is that your mind, watch this, I told you the ego mind loves amnesia. You forget what you've created. I've seen this many times. You think you got a fresh idea, right? I've done this, don't laugh at me. You think you got a fresh idea. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do that. I go and I start looking wherever I'm creating, and then there it is. I did that already. All the tricks. I was like, oh my gosh, when did I do that? That is that ego mind amnesia. Come on, y'all talk back to me. Have you ever done that? You created something, you started something, completely forgot you did it, thought you got a fresh hit, go to do it, and then you see in your files and on your computer, oh my gosh, that has happened to me, I would say at least 3 to 5 times in the last several years. When I was like, when did I do that? You know what happened? That habit of distraction crept in. I created it, and something distracted me, and I completely forgot that I had done that. So how do we remedy this? How do we move past this? This is why we are here, and this is why this is called spiritual success, personal and spiritual development, because you're only going to go as far as you are safe and comfortable and that you are developed, right? Definitely still do that with all my notes. Yes. Yes. And so we want to do something different so that we can move, so that we can get a boost this year. How is it going to start? How is it going to move? Dr. E, you've got to deal with your self-doubt. Self-doubt will always be around somewhere. That's just one of the laws of nature when it comes to psychology, right? It's just a psychological law that anytime you're going into new territory, you're going into the unknown, you're going to be nervous, you're going to be uncomfortable, you're going to doubt. But we have to deal with self-doubt in that kind of way. So how do we do that? First of all, I want you to remind yourself of every time you've had a win, because you've had some wins. The ego mind will want you to think you've never done anything good, you've never done anything right, you're the worst person in the family, you're lagging behind everybody else, and that's not true. So in our community, this is why we celebrate, and I've been distracted on and off doing this over the years. I started this like 15 years ago, right? To have daily celebrations, daily assessments. This is how we're going to start moving. Listen, beloved, you have got to do something different. I want you so comfortable with not judging yourself and condemning yourself. That's not going to help. Please put that in your notes. Self-criticism, self-condemnation, self-loathing, self-judging, none of that is going to help you move forward. You need to be in celebration. You need to be looking at what you are doing that's working. What are you doing that's working? When I did my 9-year assessment coming out of 25, what I asked myself is, recently we talked about this, when were you operating at peak performance? When was it that you were really in a flow? And so I looked over the 9 years, right? From, I think 2016 to 2025, and 2020 to 2023 was peak performance. And then I looked at what happened while you started shifting out of that and you started shifting down, right? So when you start identifying, what did you think? What did you feel? What step did you take? Many times you'll take a step and it's a stretch, and it should be a stretch. But everything in your body, everything in your mental and emotional realm is going to feel uncomfortable because now you're stepping into new territory. Now you're stretching yourself, right? But here's the key. The key that in personal and spiritual development we've dealt with over the years is, this is what you must know. You have to learn how to manage your nervous system when you are operating in the unknown. Please put that in your notes. Checking for lipstick. Right? You have to learn how to manage your nervous system, because your nervous system, your subconscious mind, your hormones, we talked about all of this. All of that is working together in synergy that's causing you to make the decisions that you're making. And so every time we shift, when we're in the unknown, you pull the trigger, you're in the unknown, you're doing something that you say you want to do. Then when the overthinking start happening because you start feeling uncomfortable in your body, pay attention to your body. What did I say? That energy is just information. You pay attention to your body, because now you're in the unknown. You don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if you're going to have support. You don't know if anybody's going to show up. I've lived with this all of my adult life, all of my career life, right? All of my ministry life. So many times I would put on events, right? And you're just so nervous. Is anybody going to register, right? Did anybody show up? Especially when you had a free registration. That is when people would just ghost you, right? But you would be so, because you're in the unknown. You don't know if people are going to show up. You don't know if you're going to have a packed house. You don't know if your product is going to sell. This is the unknown. So you have to do that work with your nervous system about being safe in the unknown. Because now you took the step, you got the creative idea, you know what you want to do, you know the step that you need to take, but you don't pull that trigger and execute. You don't pull the trigger, or if you do pull the trigger, that is when your nervous system may go into overdrive. When your nervous system goes into overdrive, that is when that habit of distraction gets activated. And it slips in so easy. And so over the years, I've noticed that there will be times that I would not put a hard date on something. Because if I put a hard date and then put that date out, that means I would have to do it. But then I learned how to put that hard date out so that I would have to do it. You get it? So on the one hand, you don't put it out because you're uncomfortable. But then you learn how to use that to help you, and you put it out so that you can hold yourself accountable. But you must learn how to manage your nervous system. And we're just going to start implementing techniques, simple techniques that you could do anytime, anywhere. People don't have to know what you're doing, to manage your nervous system so that you can feel safe in your body as you're taking the steps. If we don't do anything else this year other than this, we're going to be miles ahead. We're going to be miles ahead. We're going to keep moving and progressing and progressing. But that habit of distraction is what you must start paying attention to. Anytime you set out to do something, pay attention to when you're getting distracted. When you're leaving the work to go be comfortable. When you're leaving the work to be distracted. Because we're training the brain, she only wants to go this far. He only wants to do this much, and then take him out because we don't want him feeling uncomfortable. Take her out. You take me out. You send in the message, take me out. This is how we develop the habit. Take me out. Anytime I feel uncomfortable, anytime I feel nervous, how do you know you're feeling this? You're overthinking. Anytime, if you can catch yourself overthinking, second guessing yourself, you are uncomfortable. You're in self-doubt. You fear rejection. You're feeling insecure. You're wavering. At some point, when it gets to be chronic, we can't even think what to do. We don't know what direction to go in. We don't know what to do first. We don't know what the price point should be. We don't really want to charge. And you end up just giving away the store. That is not sitting in the power that you are here to sit in when it comes to your leadership, when it comes to your ministry, right? So we do this all the time. But today, I want us to just settle this. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to be determined. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to do things differently this year. Last year, we laid the foundation in February. We were in high frequency February. So last year, we spent the whole first quarter looking at how to raise our frequency, looking at what drains your energy, right? What distracts you? What makes you uncomfortable? We talked about self-concept and self-image. We talked about all of that to bring us here so that you will understand how to manage your nervous system and support it when you're in the unknown. That is the biggest work that everybody has to do when you're pulling the trigger and executing. You have to manage your nervous system. That is what takes you out, especially if you're highly sensitive. Because we're meant to do things differently than the other 80% of the population, says Dr. Elaine Aaron, right? We are wired in a special way. Highly sensitive don't mean you're weak. It means that we have superpowers that work for us in a different way. And we have to embrace that and do it differently. So as we move into observation of self this week, particularly looking for when you're distracted, when you leave one thing to go do something else, but the one thing that you're leaving is income generation. It has the power to increase your income. It has the power to put you in another atmosphere, another dimension. It has the ability to put you in new rooms with new people. You have to look at when you're leaving income generation, destiny acceleration activity to go do something that's going to make you comfortable. And again, when it's chronic, you can't even think. You're just foggy. You don't even have clarity about what to do. What's the first step? But we want to bring all of that into focus so that we are executing, so that we're taking steps and getting results. Take a breath in and exhale. Let's sow a $21 seed into this word so that we are dismantling the habit of distraction. So that 21 comes to be the number 3, which gives us the ability to birth. That number 3 gives us the ability to birth. So we want to do that. Let's sow a $21 seed. Y'all know all the ways that we can sow, right? You can go to alonasanders.com and sow. You can go to YouTube. Not YouTube. Like I said, I don't like putting this thing up because every time we put it up, we open up ourselves up for people to just, do what they do. But here it is. This is all the ways that you can sow, right? There's Zelle, there's Cash App, there's PayPal, alonasanders.com, $21 seed. Sow into the word. When you sow into the word, then you can get a harvest. You can get a harvest of what you are sowing that seed for when you water it and you nurture it. All right, lovelies. Don't forget to make a comment, interact when we're done, share this on your timeline, and I'll see you at our next Spiritual Success Connection. Bye for now.